resource for farmers and other stakeholders across our 3 counties, whether it be livestock or crop production or whatever other questions or issues our producers have. I'm here to serve as that resource to help them get answers and to help make better decisions for their operations. So that includes whether I need to go out and help do field visits, or if anybody sends me an email and asks questions. Then I also host some educational programs as well to help bring that direct information that we have from campus and the vast network we have in Extension and bring it to our local areas.
Nice. So how long have you been in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties at the Extension there?
Yeah, I just started in January. I'm fresh out of college. I graduated in December with my master's from Illinois State University, and this was the first job I've had out of that. So I'm excited to be here and be in my home area, especially being from Logan County.
There you go. So probably a lot of connections then, being from the Logan County area. You probably know a lot of guys and families and producers in that area then.
Yeah, absolutely. My family's been connected to agriculture for a long time, and so it's been great to revisit a lot of those connections and be in this world that I can serve them and be that valuable resource to them. For sure.
Well, tell me a little bit about the highlights of your first 10 and a half months here, Reagan. What have you done, or what has come up of note in your time so far at the Extension?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's been 10 and a half months, but it really has been an enjoyable time. I work with a lot of fantastic people here in Extension, especially here in our local office and on our commercial ag team. One of the things I'm very proud of that I've gotten started is a blog. It's called Farm Focus. Basically, it's a place where I can provide some information and some on different various topics that are important to producers here across our 3 counties. So far, I've covered topics like wind erosion, various conservation practices that farmers can adopt, some tax changes at the federal level. I've got a lot more interesting and more exciting projects coming along the way with that. And then also in January, I'm really happy that we're going to bring a Illinois Agronomy Summit to Lincoln Land Community College down in Springfield. We're going to have a lot of great speakers. It's going to be a really great event to bring, again, more of those local producers in connection with our experts and with some speakers from campus and from the local area. So I'm really excited for those 2 opportunities. And it's great to get out there and meet with a lot of our stakeholders and a lot of our producers across our 3 counties.
We'll talk about those in a minute. I wanted to ask, though, piggyback off something you just said. Does your role take you into the fields with guys, or is it mostly are most of your contacts just them coming to you with questions, whether that be a correspondence over the phone or email? How are you making contacts there in the Logan County, Sangamon, Menard County area?
It's been both. A lot of the times, my experience has been that individuals will reach out to me, whether it be by phone or by email, and then I'll kind of help them, figure out, okay, what's the exact area we're working in and whether I need to go out and do a field visit. I was just on one last week where we were trying to diagnose some issues in a soybean field, and we had some samples and sent them over to the plant clinic on campus. I've also done a lot of work so far on alfalfa. That's one area that we seem to be kind of lacking in Extension and having not a lot of resources on the production side. So I've kind of taken that opportunity as myself to learn about that and be that valuable resource for those individuals in our area that have had questions on growing alfalfa for production.
That's cool. So let's go back to the growing season, Reagan, and have you kind of highlight what were some of the things you were dealing with over the summer as it related to being in the fields or in contact with producers during the growing season. What came up for you in that time?
Yeah, I'd say one of the biggest things we saw this year, especially with corn, was tar spot. That's something that we've seen the last couple of years, but it hasn't been quite as widespread. This year, though, especially as we've gotten closer to harvest, tar spot has kind of roared its head again. In a lot of the cornfields I've driven by, and a lot of cornfields I've visited across the counties, I've seen tar spot. Now, at this point in the growing season, tar spot isn't really going to impact our yields that much. Mm-hmm. But if we would have seen it a lot earlier in the growing season, that definitely would have been something that we would have had a lot of concern about. And we're still working to understand a lot of the impacts that tar spot can have on our corn crop. On the soybean side, and even on the corn side as well, or given that we had a very warm and early spring, insect pressure was a lot of things we saw. I remember scouting our research plot up at Hartsburg and going out there and seeing damage we had from insects like Japanese beetles and from other insects impacting the leaves. Now, I don't know if we'll have to see a big impact on yields for that since that was so early. But definitely our insect pressure earlier in the year was something that that I really saw a lot of.
That's Reagan Tibbs, University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. Our guest on the Zoom call with us here for today. Yeah, I saw some tar spot even on the big old tree in my backyard this summer. I had to take a picture of it and use the good old technology we have on our phones to figure out what that was. I had never seen that before, so that was an interesting discovery. Maybe a weird question: how does tar spot spread, Reagan? Like, how did it end up on a tree in my backyard? How does it end up in on our plants in the fields and those sorts of things?
Yeah, I think that the tree question I'm not sure about. I'm not an expert in trees, but I'm definitely interested in looking into that for you and see if I can help you. But tar spot is one of those things we're still trying to understand across the Midwest. A couple of states have seen it a lot worse than we have, and so those universities like Missouri and Purdue have done a lot of important research on that. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head how it spreads.
Okay.
But we're still definitely looking into it and seeing kind of what the impacts are, whether we see it at the early growth stages, kind of in the middle of the season, or now towards the end, right around harvest time. But we're still that's still something we're looking into.
I didn't realize tar spot was a relatively new phenomenon. I guess I didn't know that. That's
from what I've seen, it's something that we've seen within the past 7 or so years.
Okay.
Again, a lot of states have seen it a lot more than we have.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that just because we haven't reported a lot of it doesn't mean it isn't out there.
Okay, sure. Well, Reagan, as the as the harvest season has gone on, what are conversations you're having with producers in the 3-county area you serve? What are they up to? What are they concerned about right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things they're looking at is kind of the markets for corn and soybeans. I mean, obviously, we've gone from a couple really solid years in markets and having some really strong prices. And now we're in kind of that period of, okay, now, before with our marketing strategies, we could simply put it in the bin and then, the price will be about the same tomorrow. I can sell it tomorrow, not that big of a deal. We can't really do that now. We don't have the same type of structure and the same type of strength in our markets now. So definitely a lot of producers are concerned about that. Another conversation I've had with folks is about, a farm bill. It's been a long time since we've had a farm bill. We had a renewal last year before the 2018 farm bill expired. Congress is still working on trying to get a new farm bill in. If you ask a lot of the experts, and I certainly don't try to be one on policy stuff, but it's going to take a lot of effort to get a farm bill done before the end of the year. But I think there's still some hope for getting it done. But those are kind of the two big issues that when I go out and speak to producers and listen to producers at various meetings, those are a couple of things that I'm really hearing about.
Will those two things be a part of that summit you told us about in Springfield?
Yeah, certainly. I'm hoping to have kind of an overview of policy, and hopefully by that point in January, we'll have a farm bill, knock on wood, and get some more clarity on that position.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely we'll have other topics as well. We'll talk about ag technology and drones. We'll talk about other uses of technology and agriculture to help make better decisions. We'll talk about some environmental pressures agriculture is facing, a lot of other really important topics.
Reagan, I'll tell you what, my friend, let's break here and come back and talk about that summit and some of the other programs that you've put on and that you'll be putting on and looking forward to as the growing season, or the harvest season rather, wraps up here. How do folks get a hold of you? Where do they go to learn about all the things you're putting together? What's the best place for some of that information?
Yeah, so our website's the best place for that. If you search Illinois, I believe it's extension.illinois.edu/LMS is our website where you can go and you can find all of our resources. You can also just email me. My email is rgtibbs@illinois.edu. You can also call our Lincoln office at 217-732-8289. Those are the two best ways to get a hold of me, and I'll be happy to reach out and help out.
Reagan Tibbs with the University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. Our guest on the Zoom call, I should say, this morning. More to come with Reagan on the morning show. WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat starting the day in the red. December corn opening 405 1/4 down 3. March corn down 3 1/4, 421 1/2. May corn 429 3/4 down 3 1/4. November beans starting the day 987 1/2 down 8 1/2. January beans down 8 1/2, 1003. March beans 1016 1/4. down 9. December wheat 579 3/4, down 5.5. March wheat down 5.5, 601 3/4. May wheat 613 1/4, down 5 3/4. December bean meal 313.20, that's down 210. And December bean oil 41.73, down 17 cents. Opening numbers at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday morning. Jim Taylor on the RFD Radio Network.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers a full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton or Farmer City. This is what we strive to do each and every day. We'll listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that is knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at baumchevybuick.com right from the start.
Are you wanting to learn more about your health and wellness options in Central Illinois? Visit stealthwellness.com or click on my banner ad at DeWittDailyNews.com. Let me, Dr. Bill Byers, show you some simple, under-the-radar ways to improve and take control of your health.
This is Brett Zerfowski with Central Cremation Center. We have expanded our business and now offer private pet cremations to memorialize your loyal companion. Find out more about us by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest on the phone today is on the Zoom call today is Reagan Tibbs, and he is the commercial ag educator with the University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. And Reagan, we highlighted just briefly a big agronomy summit you're going to be hosting in Springfield. One more time, tell us the when, the where, and we'll dive into what's going to be happening with that summit. Tell us more.
Yeah, so we're going to be hosting it on January 21st, 2025 at Lincoln Lane Community College. This is part of it's kind of a spin-off series from a larger program we've had in Extension called the Crop Management Conference. Our goal is to get local producers in contact and in connection with various researchers and other professionals in the ag industry that we have access to in Extension, and get them connected with that valuable information for their operations. And so our summit, we're going to talk about various different things. Obviously, I mentioned earlier, we're going to hopefully have a policy update on kind of the various landscapes of ag policy currently. We're going to talk about drones and other technologies in agriculture, talk about the weather and the environment, a little bit of cover crops, some other agronomy topics as well. So really excited to have it here in Springfield coming up in January. And hopefully, if it is as successful as I think it will be, I want to move it around across our 3 counties. So that way we can even get more producers connected with these experts from campus.
That's awesome. Yeah, tell us about who some of those experts are and what they'll be presenting on.
Yeah, so far I've gotten Dr. Dave Bullock from the University of Illinois. He's an ag economist who works on a project called Data Intensive Farm Management. That's something I worked on a lot when I was a master's student at Illinois State. Now here in Extension, still something I use a lot of. Basically, it's a way where we can take data and create trials that farmers can implement on their operations to try new things out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have Dr. Rob Reichard from Illinois State. He's going to talk about cover crops and some of the research he's done with that. Dennis Bowman, who's one of our specialists in Illinois Extension, he's going to give an overview about drones and some other types of technologies that we utilize in agriculture. So those are just a sampling of some of the topics we're going to have during the Agronomy Summit.
Drones becoming much, much more prevalent in agriculture the last 4 or 5 years, it feels like.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I remember when kind of the first notion of camera drones came out and that a lot of people didn't have a lot of access to them. And now it seems like a lot of us have access to camera drones and a lot of different types of drones. Now in agriculture, we can do seeding, we can do spraying, we can do mapping with drones, we can do a whole lot of different things. And so I'm really excited to see what Dennis has to show. I've seen a couple of his presentations before on drones, and I'm hopeful that our producers will get a lot out of his presentation.
Fantastic. So you said that's January 21st?
Yes, that's correct. January 21st at Lincoln Lane Community College, hopefully at their agriculture building there on campus. The event fee is going to be $30, and that's going to include a lunch. We're still figuring out those details, obviously, right now. But that's where we're going to host it at.
Sure. How do folks register? Can they register yet? Is there a deadline? How about some of those things there?
Yeah, so we haven't opened up registration yet. We're still working on figuring out some of the logistical details on our end. Obviously, I'm hosting one of these, but we have a various number of these across the state as well. So we're working on the logistics and the marketing side of it right now. Look for registration to come out sometime in November and then to close sometime in January, about a week or so before the event. So be keeping the lookout for on our social media pages, on our website. Those are going to be the best ways to find out when the registration comes open for this summit.
You know, we talked about drones there, Reagan, and you mentioned to me off the air that you're trying or hoping to have a drone presentation about the many uses that drones can have on an operation. Highlight what you're hoping for there. What's going on?
Yeah, since in the last couple of years, like I said, we've seen a lot of improvements and a lot of new technologies with drones utilized in agriculture, but I feel as though that sometimes producers don't get a lot of direct interaction with those. And so one thing I want to do is work with experts like dentists, some other local area producers and stakeholders that utilize drones in their daily operations. Let's get together in a room and let's talk about the ways we can utilize drones, whether it's just for simple crop scouting, whether we can use it for mapping, for seeding, for spraying, whatever we need it to. I kind of had that presentation. Then I also want to use our research plot we have up in Hartsburg, and let's go out and have a demonstration and actually see what these drones can do. It's one thing to talk about it in a presentation and to have those questions answered, but to actually see it being utilized out in the field, I think is another really impactful thing. So that's something I'm really looking forward to doing and hoping I can get it organized for this upcoming year.
Yeah, with the popularity of drones increasing, are you finding producers are maybe starting to implement the cost of a drone into the bottom line or into their budgeting year to year? How are producers approaching drones? I mean, is it becoming mostly a big operation thing, or are just kind of family farms and family operations? Are they utilizing drones? What are you finding there, Reagan?
I think it's kind of both. Obviously the adoption of this technology has been kind of slow. I think as people are trying to figure out how to implement them on their operations. But I think we're going to start seeing a lot more people utilizing not necessarily the big spray drones or seeding drones, but even just a simple, DJI drone. Just one you can buy off of Amazon that can take some really good pictures that you can utilize, and you can see the whole field with. You can zoom in and go to one localized area. That could really be a big benefit. So I think it's going to be something that benefits not just those larger operations, but smaller operations, or operations of any kind, and not necessarily just with crops as well. We can utilize it on livestock operations as well. We can use it in a whole different series of ranges in agriculture.
Very good. You also mentioned you hosted a cattle producers meeting and want to do more of those types of things. Highlight that with me, Reagan.
So back in February, I was approached by one of our local beef producer groups in Logan that covers this area, and they said, "Hey, we want to do a program in the Lincoln office there. Do you want to participate?" And I said, "Absolutely." So we kind of put it together, and we had a really great opportunity. Had a few really good producers that showed up. Had a lot of great information from a local veterinarian. Travis Mateer, one of our beef cattle specialists, came over and talked about some things he's looking at in the beef cattle industry as well. I'm hoping I can do that again, not just in the Lincoln office, but also have a series of meetings like that across our 3 counties. That way those beef producers and other livestock producers can have those opportunities to be in the room together, talk about the issues they're facing, and hopefully get some answers and get some new information for their operations.
Fantastic. Reagan, I look at the clock. I've got about a minute left here with you. Did I not touch on something you wanted to get to with us today?
No, I think you got everything. I really appreciate you having me on. And again, if anybody needs to reach out to me, visit our website or give us a call at the Lincoln office, 217-732-8289. I'd be more than happy to reach out and connect with you.
For sure. Well, I'm sure you'll be busy as producers get the crops out of the field and they, maybe get into the corn. I don't know how much of corn guys are getting into in Logan County from the producers I've talked to the last few weeks. Soybeans has been the priority, but I'm sure they'll start to focus on the corn here in the weeks ahead. So, Reagan, you stay safe and appreciate you making time with us today once again as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Seth. I appreciate the opportunity.
For sure. Again, that is Reagan Tibbs, and he is the commercial ag educator with the University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. Our guest on the phone. Network News on the way.